You walk through life believing you're yourself. You wear your name like a badge. Your job title becomes your identity. Your style, your voice, your beliefs, all pieces you've collected over the years, stitched together into something you call me. But what if it's not you? Carl Jung understood something most people never realize. The self you're most familiar with, your personality, your social roles, your opinions, is a carefully constructed performance, a mask, a persona. From childhood, you were rewarded for certain behaviors and punished for others. You learned how to fit in, how to be liked, how to be safe. You began suppressing anything that didn't serve those needs, your anger, your wildness, your ambition, your truth. Over time, the mask became your reality, so much so that now, when silence surrounds you and no one's watching, you feel a strange emptiness, a disconnect. You wonder, who am I really? That whisper of discontent, that quiet restlessness, is the true self calling out from beneath the mask. And the deeper you go, the louder it gets. There was a time, long before the mask, when you didn't need to play a role. As a child, you felt your feelings fully. You asked big questions. You were curious, wild, alive. But slowly, the world began trimming your edges. Don't be too loud. Don't be too weird. Don't dream so big. And so, you folded. The wildness was replaced by compliance, the questions replaced by acceptance, the self replaced by performance. Jung believed that beneath all the conditioning lies a wholeness, a self that is not fragmented by expectation or ego, not shaped by opinion or fear, but it doesn't come forward easily. It hides, it waits, until one day you notice the cracks in your persona. You start to feel exhausted from pretending. You feel like you're living someone else's life. That moment of discomfort, that existential pain, is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. It means the true self is waking up. You cannot find the light without walking through the dark. This is where most people quit. They sense the storm beneath the surface, and they run back to comfort, back to conformity. But if you want truth, you must go into the fire. Carl Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow, the hidden part of you that you've rejected. It contains all the parts of yourself you've been taught to deny. Your rage, your lust, your greed, your guilt, your desire for power. These aren't flaws. They're energy. And when repressed, they don't disappear. They leak into your relationships, into your work, into your mental health. You think you're in control, but the shadow pulls the strings behind the scenes. Jung's genius was this: he didn't tell you to destroy your shadow. He told you to face it, to meet the monster in the mirror, to stop pretending to be good and start becoming whole. Because only when you integrate your darkness can you access your full power. This journey from persona to shadow to self is not self-help. It's psychological alchemy. Jung called it individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole. It doesn't happen in a weekend retreat. It doesn't come with a morning routine. It is a battle, slow, raw, real. You'll lose people. You'll outgrow places. You'll look at old versions of yourself with grief and gratitude. But piece by piece, you start to reclaim what was lost. That wildness, that power, that intuition. You begin to make peace with your pain, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you finally see its purpose. Every wound becomes a doorway. Every fear becomes a guide. You realize the very things you spent your life running from were the keys to becoming yourself. This is the work. This is the way. The self doesn't emerge with noise. It doesn't need to. Once you've walked through the shadow, integrated the parts of you that were once hidden, and stepped into your truth, you return to the world, but you're no longer the same. You become calm, grounded, clear, not because you're better, but because you're no longer divided. People feel your presence before you say a word. You begin to speak less, not from shyness, but from clarity. You choose your battles. You recognize illusions instantly. You stop explaining yourself to those who never listened. And when you speak, you do so with the authority of someone who has returned from hell, not broken, but forged. This is what Jung called the integration of the self. It's not perfection, it's truth. And it changes everything. The world is full of people who appear strong but are easily broken. Why? Because their strength is external, based on titles, validation, or ego. But the person who has faced their own darkness, who has confronted their shadow and walked back whole, becomes untouchable. They don't need to dominate others. They don't need constant reassurance. They don't live in reaction. They live from the center. Carl Jung believed this was humanity's future. Not conformity, but sovereignty. Not control from outside, but integration from within. When you know who you are, no one can sell you a version of yourself. You become your own foundation, your own healer, your own authority. And the world, which once ruled you, no longer holds the same power. Most people live and die wearing masks. They will never know what it means to meet themselves, to walk with their shadow, to rise from the fire reborn. But a few will choose a different path. They will hear the call, the ache that says, there's more to you than this, and they will follow it. That's not comfort, that's not ease. That's liberation. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The path is not easy, but the reward is everything. You stop living a life that pleases others and start living a life that awakens you. Welcome to the quiet revolution, the inner uprising, the return to yourself. You're not here to fit in. You're here to become whole.